So this is us, miles from the grid, living close to the wild side of the world. In 2020, the wife and I decided during the chaos of the pandemic to give up the monotony of city life, sell practically everything we own, and try our hand at a lifelong dream of living completely off-grid. In this episode, we will show you our adventure building a home from the ground up. Well, from start to kind of finish, at least enough to live in. Anywho, join us as we stumble along making a lifelong dream an off-grid reality. So to begin this massive undertaking, we first had to explore what we were up against. This meant trudging around the 40 acres to find the perfect build spot. Now, whatever spot we chose had to be hinged upon how bad the winters can be here in Montana, so keeping close to the road was absolutely paramount. Otherwise, getting groceries would be a bigger adventure than I want to endure.
Here's a clear spot. Oh, holy butt crack. Yeah, dude. We should probably hike up to the, fuck it, whatever. It's gonna suck. Well, we're not gonna have to worry about not having enough firewood. Good night. Wow. Look at that.
After choosing the build spot, we had to start tackling the entrance and creating an area to work. And since the entire property is on a mountain slope, this was no easy task. Now the area we chose to build had an old thicket of dead lodgepole pines, and the trees surrounding it were ripe with pine beetles. So we didn't feel too bad clearing out the area where the house and workspace is going to be. So during the clearing process, we really wanted to try and preserve any old-growth trees that might still exist on the land in the hopes of maybe bringing back the forest to its former glory. Now, the entire area, including our land, was clear-cut in the early start of the century, so trying to preserve any relics of old growth was a major goal during this build.
Not bad for 4 hours of work. You can kind of see the driveway path right there. Whew. Alright, it's beer 30 now.
Now, after cutting a swath into what was to be the driveway, we rented an excavator to dig into the hillside to carve out the actual path and create a parking area down lower. Now, since most of the damn mountainside is mostly huge-ass boulders with only a tiny smattering of dirt, it was quite the learning curve to make any reasonable pathway using only a mini-X.
Too unstable, if you ask me. There we go.
So once we actually got started, and I figured the controls out, I had a freaking blast running the excavator, and it was probably the most fun I had during the entire process. Plus, it was so satisfying to see how fast you could rip up a driveway with modern equipment. Now, I had never run an excavator before, so it definitely was a rough start, but it was pretty easy once I got it going.
Nazi!
So only after a couple days of moving earth and pushing boulders around with the digger, we finally have the driveway somewhat set and the work area cut into the hillside. Next, it's time to move the logs from the area where the house will go, and then we can finally start the foundation. Before we could start milling logs and actually constructing the foundation, we had to trench the footprint for the house so that there was enough depth to pour concrete footings for each post. Now, originally we had thought we could simply post hole dig each pier location, but the stupid bouldery hellscape that is our soil prevented that from happening. So we opted to just trench the whole footprint. That way we could add in a rock wall underneath the skirt of the house later on for cold storage and whatnot. So like any house, the foundation is key, and after many debates as to what style of house we were going to build, we opted for the most pragmatic, a pier and beam foundation supporting an open concept salt box style house. We wanted to try and utilize what we had on the land for the foundation at least, and with the seemingly infinite amount of lodgepole pine that we have all over the 40 acres, this was no problem. The hard part was getting large enough diameter trees over to the build spot, but we had the excavator for a few more days and ended up hoisting logs over to the spot using the wife's expert knot tying skills. So we got tired of tearing the trees up with the teeth, so now we are cinch strapping these suckers together to try to move them. Well, she is. I'm just sitting here from the comfort of my seat. Somebody's knotting skills were a little too good, and now it's stuck. So, being on a hill, we slipped a track. So we are going to attempt to field fix this sucker by using a makeshift end of a pickaxe hooked to a bar. We'll see how this works. Alright, here we go. So now, I'm going to bring this over. Thank you. Our part's going to be hitting on this piece. Oh, I see. These aren't adjustable. Yeah.
Alright, ready for my Kyle on the right there?
Hurry up, I only got 5 minutes. Yeah. Ha 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 ha. Alright, hang on 1 second.
Oh, you got it.
Almost.
Stop.
Gotta get the thing out. Come on. I think you got it. Keep going. Keep going. Woo! You're running, that rock hit me in the face. We're on.
It's on. Woo!
Woo! That was a little dangerous. Now that we had the logs moved and ready to be processed, it was time to strip them down and remove the bark so we could treat the posts with a combination of linseed oil and a weatherproof stabilizer. This is intended to prevent too much checking in the sun once they get cast into their eternal concrete prisons. Alright, so it's time for linseed oil time. We're gonna slather the shaft of these and make them nice and slathery. I think we're heat delirium or some shit. Anyway, ready to lift? Oh, I'm an idiot. We could just do it up here, huh? Here we go. Alright, just a splash.
There, yeah, that's enough. It's not quite enough.
We're not really getting the bottom though.
Yeah, I am.
All right.
See?
Oh, okay.
I'm an expert.
Well, rub the bottom. You gotta rub the bottom of the shaft.
While making direct eye contact.
You gonna catch this end? All right. Yep. That is a slathered up log. With the logs all ready to go, it was time to set them in place. This meant digging a decent hole for each footing and hand pouring the concrete. But like everything with this build so far, it was a race against time, and that meant using good old muscle to hurry things along.
Oh, you got that log by yourself, Jesus.
And to top it off, fire season that year started ramping up really bad right as we started to build, which is why the sky looks like a scene from Blade Runner. It also made for one hell of a hot day to do construction. Not the most ideal of conditions to be building a house. So before we could set the posts in concrete, I had to mount anchor brackets to each log. We did this because setting a wooden post directly in concrete is a quick way to rot the post out, and you will have major structural issues when the wood weakens at the base in the future.
Shit.
We also treated the base of each log with copper naphthenate, which preserves green wood from moisture decay and pests.
Now, das ist Hammerzeit. Gotta put these dingle-dongles in here. Big hammer time. That'll work.
Well, folks, this concludes part 1 of our off-grid house build. On the next segment, you will see us stumble our way through trying to finish the foundation to actually framing walls. There is a ton more to do, but I hope you all enjoyed the journey as much as us, and thanks for watching. We will see you on the next one.